Dream of the Red Chamber Chapter 91.
If you're looking for an aha moment today, you're definitely in the right place.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a really incredible one lined up.
Yeah, so I want you to just imagine this scenario for a second. You are the last man standing in a completely collapsing dynasty.
Right, the pressure is just unimaginable.
Exactly. Like outside the high walls of your family compound, there's this deeply corrupt judicial system, and they are demanding your family's entire fortune just to save your brother from the executioner's blade.
You're just hemorrhaging money at this point, buying one more day of life, basically.
Yeah, but here's the crazy part. That's only the external threat.
Yeah.
Inside the walls, in the exact spaces that are supposed to be your safe haven, your sanctuary, your own family members are actively trying to frame you for a horrific crime.
Which is just, it's pure psychological warfare.
It really is.
Yeah.
They want to blackmail you, dominate you, and just steal whatever scrap of power is left in the house. How humans react when the walls just completely close in. We're going to examine two wildly different survival strategies taking place literally within yards of each other.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating cross-section because on one side you have this gritty, almost modern psychological thriller with blackmail and attempted seduction.
And then on the other side of the house, you have this profound, high-level philosophical dialogue about existence, loyalty, and love.
It really is a study in human adaptation under extreme duress. You're looking at an environment where all the traditional rules of this deeply patriarchal society are they're suspended.
Because the patriarch is gone, right?
Exactly. The eldest son, Chupan, is away and embroiled in this disastrous murder trial, so there's this massive power vacuum.
Right, and left behind to manage this sinking ship is his younger cousin, Sukake. He is essentially the guy left holding the bag.
Yeah, he has no real absolute authority, but he bears all the responsibility, which is a terrible place to be.
The worst. He's trapped. If he goes outside, he's swarmed by grifters wanting bribes or threatening rumors, so he literally has nowhere to go but retreat inward.
Right into his own bedroom, just to find a moment to think.
And this brings us to a scene that feels like it was ripped straight out of a modern thriller. It's late at night.
Yeah.
Zuke is alone in his room. He's already super paranoid, right?
Oh, highly paranoid. The text really slows down the pacing here to match his sensory awareness.
Yeah. He's just staring blankly at this plate of fruit and wine that someone gifted him, turning a piece of fruit over and over. And then he hears a noise.
Just a faint rustling outside, so he freezes.
He doesn't move. He waits. Silence falls, and he thinks, maybe it was just the wind. He relaxes a bit.
But then the confinement is breached.
This part is so creepy. He turns his head toward the paper window. And remember, these are wooden lattices covered in translucent paper, not glass.
Right, which changes the whole dynamic of privacy.
Exactly. And as he watches, he sees a dark, wet spot slowly spreading on the paper from the outside.
Someone out in the dark courtyard has literally licked their finger and pressed it against the paper.
To melt the fibers and make a tiny peephole. It's so unnerving.
Yeah.
Zuge creeps over, he squints to look through the hole, and the second he puts his eye to it.
A violent gust of air is blown straight through it, right into his face.
Oh my gosh, I would pass out. I'd jump right out of my skin.
It's a total violation of his physical boundaries. It's signaling, hey, I can reach you. Your walls are useless.
And to make it worse, out of the pitch-black courtyard, he hears this distinct, high-pitched giggle. It's like an auditory weapon.
It's designed to unnerve him completely. So what does he do?
He immediately blows out his oil lamp, plunges the room into darkness, and dives into bed. He plays dead.
Which is the most primal prey response, When a predator breaches your perimeter, you freeze.
But the predator isn't leaving. The maid, Boshan, calls out, asking why he's not drinking the wine. He ignores her. Then he hears her outside complaining to someone else about his, quote, lack of luck or blessings.
And he realizes that other voice sounds suspiciously like his sister-in-law, Jingyi.
Right. So he realizes he's being actively hunted by the women of his own family. He can't sleep at all.
They're testing his defenses. Will he open the door? Will he get mad? Any reaction gives them leverage.
And the probing escalates big time the next morning. It's dawn. Someone knocks. He's forced to open it. And there stands the maid, Boshan. But she is intentionally underdressed.
And we have to really unpack the semiotics of clothing in this era because it's so rigid.
Yeah, the text gets really specific. She's got uncombed hair, she's clutching her tight top clothes, she has a green sash, and crucially, no outer skirt.
Just her inner trousers, which is a huge deal.
Right, and they are vividly described as stone pomegranate red sprinkled flower-lined trousers. Plus, brand new red embroidered shoes.
That color is the true weapon here. Red is highly charged. It's vitality, blood, the bridal chamber.
It's a visual shock tactic.
Absolutely. In a deeply conservative household, flashing red inner garments at a young single man is an overt sexual proposition.
It's meant to totally bypass his intellectual defenses. When Juke sees her, he feels a literal jolt. But this is where he plays 4D chess, right?
Yeah, his discipline here is incredible.
He forces a smile and plays completely dumb. He looks right past the scandalous red pants and just casually asks, "Why are you up so early?"
He disrupts her entire script. She was performing the innocent maiden caught in undress, but his non-reaction totally throws her off.
I love that. It's exactly like Tai Chi. He just yields completely, forcing her to lose her balance and retreat. She actually blushes and runs away.
But that Tai Chi defense only works if you know what you're dodging.
Yeah.
And the source takes us behind closed doors to show us the actual master plan.
Which is terrifying. Bao Tian reports back to Jingyi, the sister-in-law, and lays out a phased operation.
Yeah, phase 1. Jingyi plays the ultimate caring sister-in-law. Make him feel safe and appreciated.
Because he's so isolated, he's carrying the weight of the world, so they want to create a false sense of warmth.
They want to replace his justified paranoia with misplaced gratitude.
Once he's comfortable, phase 2. Invite him in, get him drunk. If he gives in, they own him. But the contingency plan is what makes this a literal extortion racket.
Right, the blackmail.
Yeah, Bokan says if he resists and tries to leave, they'll just tear their own clothes, scream, and accuse him of attempted rape.
And you have to consider the mechanics of a rape accusation in this historical framework.
Because just being alone in a room with his sister-in-law is a severe breach.
Right, precisely. If they scream, the mere optics of him being in their private quarters would convict him in the court of public opinion.
His entire reputation, which is the only thing keeping the family afloat in the outside world, would be obliterated.
Jingyi is moving to completely subjugate the only remaining male authority figure. It's a flawless trap.
It really is. So Zuke is walking on a razor's edge. But then the environment abruptly shifts. And this brings us to part 2. The Trojan horse.
Right, because the aggressive seduction suddenly stops.
Completely. The scandalous clothes disappear. Jingyi becomes the perfect demure sister-in-law. This deeply unsettling peace settles over the house.
Which is textbook psychological manipulation. A sudden peace in a predatory dynamic is just a tactical pivot.
Yeah, they move to phase 1, creating the illusion of safety. And Tsuke actually starts gaslighting himself.
He really does. He starts doubting his own perception, thinking maybe he misread the whole red trousers thing because he was just exhausted.
And he's not the only one. Aunt Shu, the matriarch, is thrilled. She naively thinks their luck is turning around.
It's that willful blindness we see in human nature. When faced with an existential crisis, you cling to any evidence of stability.
She needs that surface-level quiet. But the dramatic irony is killing us, the readers, because we know it's a trap.
And the trap springs in a way you really don't expect.
Yeah, Aunt Shu visits Jingi's courtyard one afternoon. As she walks in, she catches a glimpse of a man's shadow ducking behind a door.
Which is an explosive violation of boundaries.
Yeah.
An unknown man hiding in the private quarters of a married woman whose husband is away.
That should be a massive scandal.
But Jingi's composure is terrifying. She doesn't blink. She just smiles and says, "Oh, that's just Sia-san, my adopted brother from the country. He's just shy."
It's brilliant. She slaps a familial label onto the intruder and instantly defangs the threat.
And Aunt Shu buys it hook, line, and sinker. She tells Jingi to make him stay for dinner. This strange man gets the keys to the castle.
You know, the whole architecture of the traditional family compound, the heavy gates, the inner courtyards, is designed specifically to keep strangers out and protect the women.
Right.
But Jingi exploits the system's fatal blind spot. It's hardwired to permit family.
Exactly. The elderly gatekeeper lets Sia-san pass freely just because he has the title of uncle.
She weaponized the society's own rules to smuggle a co-conspirator, a Trojan horse, right through the front gates. And we get this chilling glimpse of what he's there for. Jingi tells him to secretly buy things from the outside, and Sia-san replies, quote, "As long as there is money, I can buy it."
Which just radiates menace.
What is he buying? Poisons, forged documents, thugs. We don't know.
That ambiguity is what makes it so suffocating. He is the physical conduit between the moral rot inside and the institutional corruption outside.
But right in the middle of this domestic espionage, the external threat crashes through the door anyway. And this leads us to part 3.
The machinery of the legal system jamming up.
Exactly. A desperate letter arrives from Supan in jail. They thought their bribes had worked at the local county level, right?
Well, they assumed they could purchase justice, and locally it did work. The magistrate covered up the severity of the murder.
But the Qing dynasty legal system has a hierarchy. That local report had to go up to the prefecture, and the prefect flat out rejected it.
Not only rejected it, but officially reprimanded the local magistrate for corruption.
The firewall just burned down. Supan's letter is pure panic. He says urgent, urgent. He needs massive amounts of silver immediately before he gets transferred to the higher court.
Because if he goes there, he faces brutal judicial torture and likely execution.
The beast only responds to a continuous flow of silver. So UK packs bags of silver and rides out into the night to try and intercept the legal process.
Which leaves the household totally stripped of male leadership. The logistics of scrambling that much wealth throws everyone into chaos.
Servants are panicking, the hierarchy is breaking down, and someone has to step into the void. And that person is Bao Chai, Supan's sister.
She becomes a crisis manager.
She stays up organizing the silver, directing traffic until 4 a.m., but the physical toll is devastating. The very next day, she collapses.
It's a catastrophic system failure of her own body.
She's running a burning fever, she can't speak, her eyes are completely dry, and she can't breathe properly. The whole house pivots from legal panic to medical panic.
Bao Chai is highly intelligent, stoic, the perfect idealized woman. But the narrative shows us the agonizing somatic cost of carrying that burden.
Her body is absorbing the toxicity of her environment.
Exactly. Outside, they're bleeding silver. Inside, Jingyi is infecting the house. Bao Chai literally chokes on the corruption.
And the reaction from high society is so revealing. The most powerful people in their network send these rare elite medicines.
Like the 10-fragrance soul-returning pill from Wang Shifeng.
Right. They throw their immense wealth at the problem. But here's the critical thing. None of these magical-sounding cures do anything. For 7 or 8 days, she hovers near death.
Because the text is arguing that an intervention from a corrupt system cannot cure the sickness caused by that very system.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline, so what finally works?
She finally remembers to take 3 of her own personal pills, the cold fragrance pill, or Ling Xingwan.
And wait, she makes this herself, right?
It is cultivated, not purchased. The recipe is wild. It needs the white pollen of the peony in spring, white lotus in summer, white hibiscus in autumn, and white plum blossom in winter.
The logistics of that are almost impossible.
Yeah, and then mixed with rain, dew, frost, and snow from specific days of those seasons, and buried under a flower root.
So it requires years of perfect harmony with nature.
Precisely. The white flowers represent pristine purity, and the coldness is crucial. It suppresses the hot toxins of worldly desires and anxieties.
So she can only survive by drawing on her own inherent nature, her stoic detachment. The external world is useless to her.
She is saved entirely by an internal locus of control.
That's beautiful, but it's also deeply isolating. And this near-death experience forces the adults to take action. Which brings us to part 4. The blocked door.
Because they look at her crumbling health and decide to solve a profound spiritual collapse with a bureaucratic maneuver.
It's so chillingly pragmatic. Lady Wang and Jia Zhang decide the best way to cheer her up and save her health is to formally arrange her marriage to Baiyu.
Notice there's zero discussion of love or compatibility.
None. They treat it like scheduling a roof repair. Get engaged in the winter, marry next spring. It's purely logistical.
It's the massive machinery of arranged marriage gearing up. They view it as a medical intervention and a strategic alliance to consolidate power.
It completely steamrolls the teenager's individual desires. And we see the emotional collateral damage right away. While they are secretly planning his life, Baiyu visits Anshu.
And she is understandably distracted. Her son might be executed, her daughter almost died, and she has a Trojan horse in her yard.
Right, she's cold and barely speaks to him. But Baiyu, being incredibly self-centered here, takes it personally. He storms off to complain to Dayu.
But buried in his whining is this incredibly significant architectural detail.
Yeah, he tells Dayu that a small door connecting their courtyards has been permanently blocked up, so he had to walk the long, formal way around to visit her.
The physical environment always reflects the emotional reality in this novel. That blocked door is profound.
It's like they've paved over the sandbox where they used to play. That door allowed fluid, unbroken intimacy when they were kids, no boundaries.
But the bricks filling that doorway are the physical manifestation of the arranged marriage plans. Childhood is over. The patriarchy is enforcing strict adult spatial rules.
They can't use the shortcut anymore. They have to act as formal guests. Bayou is mourning the door, but he doesn't grasp the systemic forces closing it.
He's just annoyed by the inconvenience. He's totally ignoring the fact that the Shi's family is facing annihilation.
Which leads directly into the emotional climax of our source material today in Part 5. He goes to Dayu for comfort, but he runs headfirst into a spiritual interrogation.
It's arguably one of the most dense philosophical exchanges in the entire novel.
Dayu totally calls him out. She punctures his narcissism. She says, "Stop being so self-centered. Aunt Chu's coldness isn't about you, it's about the murder trial."
She's acting as a moral mirror.
And she hits him with a reality check. You didn't even show up when Bao Chai was dying. Why should Aunt Sue be nice to you?
Bayou's system just cannot handle that reflection.
No. He spirals into a full-blown existential meltdown. He stomps his foot and yells, "Why was I even born? If I didn't exist, the world would be clean."
It's this sudden, crushing realization of his own complicity in the world's suffering. He wants to erase his footprint to escape the entanglement of human connection.
But Dayu doesn't coddle him. She hits him with Buddhist philosophy. She essentially says, as long as there is a self, there will be others.
Right, she introduces dependent origination. If you define a self, you draw a boundary. Everything outside becomes the other.
And with others comes endless trouble, fear, and entanglement. You can't have human connection without the messy, painful realities.
His fantasy of a clean existence is an illusion as long as he clings to his ego.
The weight of that hits Bayou like a physical blow. The agitation just leaves him. He responds with this wild metaphor, claiming he's like a 16-foot golden Buddha.
But he admits that despite his grand appearance, he still relies on a single stem of grass from Dayu to be transformed and stabilized.
I mean, on one hand, it's poetic. He's acknowledging his high status, but saying, without her grounding insight, he's lost in the wind. On the other hand, is this enlightenment or just toxic codependency?
It's highly precarious. He's saying, I'm a god, but only if you manage my emotional state.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dayu recognizes that danger. She knows his mind is fickle, so she subjects his enlightenment to the ultimate stress test.
The Zen koan.
Right, she rapid fires these hypothetical scenarios at him about his impending arranged marriage to Bao Chai.
She asks, what if Bao Chai is good to you? What if she isn't? What if she forces you to be good to her? She's spinning this suffocating web of possibilities.
A Zen koan is a paradox used to exhaust the intellect. She wants to know if his love is reactive to external circumstances or if it is absolute.
Bao Yu is stunned into silence. But then he bursts out laughing. He delivers this reply that has echoed through centuries. Of the 3,000 branches of the weak water, I only take one gourd to drink.
It's just a breathtaking synthesis of mythology and devotion.
We have to unpack this for you guys listening. In Chinese mythology, the weak water was this vast, uncrossable river, separating the mortal world from the divine.
It lacked buoyancy. Even a feather would sink. It represents an insurmountable, boundless expanse.
So Bao Yu uses this to represent the infinite universe of romantic possibilities. The 3,000 branches are all the women, all the potential paths.
By saying he only needs one gourd of water, he's collapsing the infinite into the singular. Out of the boundless universe, I only want you.
It's the ultimate monogamous vow. But the paradox is they are using Zen Buddhism, which is about detaching from earthly desires, to articulate romantic love, the ultimate earthly attachment.
That's the absolute genius of the scene. She's using spiritual detachment to test the purity of his earthly attachment.
She wants to know if it's just worldly desire or if it has the immovable quality of a Zen state. So she pushes it. She asks, what if the water drifts the gourd away?
Meaning, what if society physically pulls us apart?
And Bayou says, the water flows, the gourd drifts, my heart will follow you. Then she asks the darkest question. What if the water stops and the pearl sinks? What if I die?
And his response seals the argument.
He says, the Ven mind is already like mud-soaked catkins. It won't dance in the spring wind for the partridge.
You have to visualize the physics of a catkin. They are the fluffy willow seeds. Normally they blow wildly in the spring wind, representing a restless heart seduced by new temptations.
But his heart is mud-soaked.
Yes. When it falls into the mud, it becomes heavy and permanently grounded. It can never be picked up by the wind again.
He's declaring that if she dies, his capacity for love dies too. The spring wind, other women, Bao Chai won't stir him. His heart is permanently anchored in the heavy mud of his devotion to her.
He has achieved absolute detachment from all other desires purely through his singular attachment to her.
And he swears this vow by the three treasures of Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. He locks it in with the most sacred concepts available.
They've built this impenetrable fortress of shared understanding completely above the corruption of the household.
But the tragedy is, the physical world refuses to let them stay there. The second he swears the vow, a massive flock of crows suddenly erupts into loud cawing outside.
The brutal intrusion of reality.
The sound shatters his Zen state instantly. He's terrified it's a bad omen. Dayu tries to tell him human luck isn't found in bird songs, but the spell is broken.
And then a maid bursts in, yelling, "Hurry, your father is looking for you."
The patriarchal authority literally summons him away from his spiritual sanctuary.
The beautiful philosophy of the inner courtyard is completely surrounded by the brutal reality we saw earlier. The blackmail, the corruption, the blocked doors.
That is the actual machinery of their world. And the heartbreaking implication is that their transcendent love probably cannot survive contact with that crushing reality.